perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born in this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate, with pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one God to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower wrongs, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15 for the Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Ulchas mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avgachavara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avgachavara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avgachavara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body. Taste, no objective touch. There is no eye element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance and no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata Gare Gare Paragare Parasamgare Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya of Buddhavara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you've indicated. Even the Tadikas rejoice. The Bhagawan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Visharadevadaputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya of Buddhavara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagawan. Page 25 for the mandala. Saji poke ching me dog drum, re robbling shine degen party, sange jing du me te o agi, drokun nam dak jing la jo pa sho, jetsun lama dampa kenam ki, choku kala kensi chen ching, jeta sampe do jazin mala, sage choke cha pa bab tu so. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamnayatayami.
Sanje
Chanama Jancho Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Jinyangi Peso Namki Jola Penchu Sange Drupashu Sange Chodan Soki Chodama Jancho Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Jinyangi Peso Namki Jola Penchu Sange Drupashu Sange Chodan Soge Chodam La Yo Paru Dani Kapkuchi Dagi Chinyang Peso Namki Jola Penchu Sange Drupa.
Gange de zenye zabe dawa de ba me shiren de me shin de de. Wadam de la ja de no bu yin yin de sun de je be no ji ji de gan je tun de na gan de. Go de 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 na de yo ma de da la ma ba chin da de ju de. Ba de je me go ne je don de ga san tu je mo da de do so. Ma dan zo kunung kom je ja wa kunung ti da. 这是我们学不难系列，等到去年的，让你结果给听到主要去满意吧。俺让那个邻居一心间，这点个旁边你最心间他们家了，等到用爱去的，你个月心间过两天的，身边去过两样我接小事。
Cultivating the correct intention, as we've done previously, not for just one's own purpose, but for sentient beings who've been kind as the parents of this life to oneself and solely to benefit them, can join your mind with the altruistic thought.
아야 나 아검로 드링하는서 내 람린 딩닝기 중화되니 그거 야고 인 진짜 가고 그랬어.
Rejoice today having the opportunity again to hear the middle length of sequential stages to enlightenment. Rejoice in that.
아야 나 먼저 남바선jewe 추 이냠랭게 림바데 아니 교숨지 람지르베는 뒤로고요 레스르바
Mhm.
아니 데 교숨지 람지르베 고니 티베 퇴원칸인 바다 제가 티베를 균진 시와스다 아니 교숨지 고니 람지르베 티고요나 디 균진 카레스야 되라 아니 균진고 담고 와시지 다 균진고디 징데 제가 스토셈 버레로
Mhm.
근데 뭐 인자 데스트레이션
So all of the practices in Buddha Dharma can be condensed into the three scopes or three capacities of practitioner. And those three capacities, that entails the method to proceed. So there's the kind of the reasons for that and the purpose for these three. We've been through the first one and now we're looking at the purposes.
다 균쟁어데 베나티 신치데 대다 장내에서 chanjusen 좀 많이 봐지 줄라 지기 차스로
Mhm.
진짜네 많이 있어요. 네. 대다 장내에서 라빈도 칸딜라다. 규 총우당 규 딩게 로그를 뭐 장으로. 다디게 알아서 곰냠네 잠예이나 되게 당부 가르삼당으로서는 점도 셈지지 녀와도 쳐오래 봐. chanju게 셈시. 군론 chan주 셈이 유제 아니 점도 체 산제 추도 네 대제 점도 체나 남외 추차로라 아니 셈지 군론이 신변지 군내라는데 단단하는 군론 제가 나시래 되게네 티바치 미추 대수로라 다디 펜버러지 따라 이제 땅제네 점도 셈지 체세에 제일 양결 아니 교 중국에 남자 교 딩게 남지를 맞아야 도스 자야디 아니 시드죠 심지는 산제지 고마 퇴베시디 인세 타토나 디에지디 인 디에지딩에 남냠네데 지기요 상고고요 레스타로
Vishla Shaptam Kawa.
야다 줍딘
Al
어디 단데데 테 테다르 장네
so dichir kebu chungus kapsun.
테다르 장네 소다
Ital chung.
그런 누구도 스타라도 하데
Ale di the changne. Ale. Okay. So we have to then look at how to cultivate, with regards to vast capacity, the uncontrived mind of bodhicitta or the mind generation. But what is in keeping with that, of course, are these practices of the initial and median scopes. Initial scope, refuge. So one has to be grounded in refuge and then within that context, train in that initial scope and the middling scope as a preliminary for bodhicitta.
지자다 테다 장네 chanjuge 심 좀 많이 바지 줄라 지기 차선다 chanjuge 심 세데 가래 라이온디 아니 chanjuge 심데 지 그중마 슈나시레 다 지금 마신 진리 진소 이용 참바도 좀을 섬도 도고 여러
Mhm.
양데 멤버체 가도 거라 닝지 상마 단제와 심지 신기 닝지 제투도나 심지 탐제라 미비 닝지 시케도도나 닝지 장디 닝지게 네 동해를 텐도게 자와래 되라 대자마세 동해단 저가 다가 저가 인사 하선 닝지고 고요라 동해대 저가 다가 저가 있는 알는 거면도 스타 아니요나 술라도 스타 라제 코 방바담 두에스네 대민도 스타즈메 고마토나에 심지 된치도 면도 아니 다 벤조만 was 심지 된치도 면도 점블링나는 깨닫지 못하네 심지 된치 못치도 면도 아니 다 산제 고마토에는 SMG 된치도 최근 심지 신 탐제 동일의 대화 세대의 파마니 그 심지 된제 동일의 대화 최대는 산제 고마토와 지긴 세야데 전주의 심차게 요래스로
Okay, so that uncontrived bodhicitta, then one has to look at the methods for cultivating that. We can look at it in the steps and in terms of the 6 causes and 1 effect, recognizing that they have been one's dear parent or mother, how kind and wish to repay the kindness and so forth, going through those 6 and the 1 result. Or one can just look at it from a broad perspective of cultivating compassion for all living beings, or great compassion, wish not only the thought to free them from the suffering, separate them from the suffering and its causes, but this superior resolve, I myself will bring this about. So that has to be there. So understanding that just being free of cyclic existence is not enough to develop that resolve. Even you have to now question who has the capacity to free beings from suffering and its causes. Do you have that capacity presently? Well, not even being free from cyclic existence is enough for that. Neither can the foe destroyers have that capacity to free all living beings from suffering. Wealth won't bring it about. Fame won't bring about sentient beings' purpose. So then one concludes that only the state of Buddhahood is capable of doing that. So there comes the bodhicitta thought, the generating bodhicitta mind.
그런데 전주의 셈다 배전신으로 삼로단지 고민하들라 주마스고 주마스지 봐 수신교 되와 먼저 삼로단 주마 배전 치고를做了 结果了 做了 对过了 배전了 对过了 바데 금진 삼로 몽보단지 심디 깨주고 요래 다도서 니 디레 가서 곰도서 가래서는 디 곰나래 디 곰디 진단 유디체네 곰바스 심 코랑 먼저 심디 chanju 심 파 깨주고 요래 다른 곰래 곰도서 삼 금진 삼로다 다른 곰래 다들 금진 삼로 몽고 단지 얘네 직 삼로나라 디다 오다 직 서로 때데 레용도나 딜라야다 주마의 시그리 주제의 시그리 주제기와 주제의 조화단 제와 배전단 제와와 어디 당보심디 배전단 제와단 조화단 제와단 바 금진성로 단배 심지 하나제 심디 나라 제야라 배전 다 팀만 망고 삼로 단고 요레스로
Here one has to understand the contrived and uncontrived bodhicitta before one can have uncontrived or non-fabricated bodhicitta. One has to have a contrived or reasons behind it and generate such reasons in one's mind. So then that the mind becomes in the entity of that mode of apprehension. But prior to that, you have to go through a series of reasons so that one develops like the feeling. Anyway, there has to be this fabrication. Here, this is talking about effort. So you're contriving it, you're putting in effort. And then, latterly it will become non-fabricated or uncontrived.
대단다 Choma Mayimba Slavian Chanjuk Sim, Choma Mayimba Lagdade.
Mhm.
Choma Mayimba said you any ko Bezon La Termova. Ambe Gumzin Pena Simjin Dungele never toying the Dunga de Tavata, Tis Sanjoma Toji, Chikodo Samison, Yanchi Simji Deve Pont and Button or the Deva the Demba Chikodo, Deva the Embassy Sanjoma Toto. 양치 개회신이 유연된 통바 태고 준비 전주기생 평연 통바 라서고 줌된 다마들라 디 타직도 인지미지 닝지 견장상 당 말이 유연 다만들 되네 아니 심게 요레스로 디 좀만 많이 봤을 때네 배 배전 침목을 어떤데 유연 직 채워다 가람산 심나라야 태용야 집배나가라서 저거도 칼라 삼당고 뭐다 남산 태용고도
Mhm.
어디나시로 이제 주나 아니 좀 많이 봤다 데 찬주 심신이 차와들에서
Mhm. This notion then of non-contrived means that no effort is needed to generate such a mind. Well, it is that, first you have to see that sentient beings are in a suffering situation, and under that context, free them from that suffering and bring them to a state of Buddhahood, or that they are bereft of the love and joy they seek, and place them in that state of ultimate well-being of mind or love. Or seeing these are the many reasons one can use to cultivate unfabricated mind of enlightenment, sort of awakening. It doesn't just have to be compassion. You can also think on, for example, not only love, but the qualities of the spiritual friend, the various benefits of the mind of awakening. So not just thinking on great compassion, but all of these reasons. And then, so then when it becomes unfabricated and you no longer need that reasoning, then it becomes bodhicitta by definition.
어딘데 침디 줄라 찌기 차스 다는데 가져기도 그 배전식으로 해서 그래라
Yeah, so it is said then, Lama Tsongkhapa says, put all your effort into cultivating that.
다 되네 네 쌤디 템버 체외 체스 네 쌤디 찬주기 쌤디 템버 차 템버 용약의 체도 그래서 잠도 투무 많이 방원도 당했어요 잠도 투무 많이 봤을 때 가르스나 아니 그래서 태고 준비 잠도 쓰고 요래 투무 많이 봤을 때 간데스나 시다 잠도라 투무 잠도 투무 많이 잠도 여러 한 아니 투무에다 잠도디 코어당에 zongo 동네에 지신다네 네 군조스물에 잡스토가로디 잠도로디 투무에 잠도레 갑디 투무 많이 발라야 돼 가서나 아니 돌 다기 진짜지 산제주는 소리는 찬주바도 다는 껴서 지사야 되다 심지 탐제 코어당에 zongo 동네에 대외체도 응애 군조스물에 잡스토가 인사야 돼 되게 태고 첨부의 잠도 투무 많이 봐서야 돼 대시를 요래서
Now, in order to stabilize and strengthen that bodhicitta, there is like the common and uncommon practices of refuge. Common is that, one is taking safe direction or refuge in the three rare sublime ones so that the lower realms and cyclic existence are closed, are, kind of gotten over. But in an uncommon sense, one is saying that until all sentient beings attain to the state of awakening, one will go for refuge and so forth. So until that second one brings in the uncommon with regards to the great vehicle.
자다 잠도디 가서 윤추 가르치네 잠도 심지디 뭔도 당고에 신부 차가 티제는 저 산제 추조디 이 하장이 계신부 차가 요래서
Yeah, so the refuge and mind generation then before we do Dhamma practice is indispensable, isn't it? That's why we say, Sangye Chodam, we go for refuge and so forth.
어딘데 잠도는 뭐지다네 아니 멤버 초가서 담 단다 천주 심지 멤심 초게 송와세 초가다 지메 에 기부 첨부의 전주의 쌤 이니 쌤에 초가 제일 내용 그래서 하면서
So it's page 42 the order of the two minds and how to train in them. So having trained in this manner, you should make uncontrived bodhicitta arise in your continuum as much as possible. In order to make it stable, first go for uncommon refuge and then perform the ritual of aspiring bodhicitta.
다드네 멤버 초계 순에 디 랍절라고 그래서 당모 멤버 초계 순 안디네 랍절라 다 랍절라야 돼 가르스나 아니 줘봐 친두기 냠린치야 되래 와 진소 바진두 냠린치야 다치 바진두 두제라 레르네 마 퇴용 그래서
And then, having taken the ritual or ceremony of the aspiring bodhicitta, one trains, one engages in the training in the deeds, entailing, of course, the 6 perfections, the 4 ways of gathering disciples. These will come out later.
다 줘봐 친두세 짐바 주드와 준두 잠디 셔럽 딜이야 아니 친주 바진 바르침바 톡스고 그래서
Yeah. So giving ethics, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom.
테네 두싱고 보세 저거 친구들이랑 유민바 지와 인설 다 신주민바 집에 두영고 시세 두영고 시대다 제일만 전달을 되는 거래 니 짐바 당으로 당고디 짐바 당 현은 짐바 코 짐바들에 디네 님바 마와로 책임보 최마야 안디네 튼튼바 세와 네 최나 튼베 튼 수수줘야 튼튼바지야 아니 튼줘바스데 네베 수수 냠내 채원나지 미드저 님도라 냠내 채야데 튼줘바스 일라 디베모 시스고레스
Again, there are 6 trainings and paramitas pertaining to oneself and 4 trainings pertaining to others or disciples. So those 4 are firstly giving gifts as a mean to bring people to you, to draw students in, and then giving them nice advice. It literally says sweet words, but it means, say pleasant things, and then teach in accord with the Dharma, thirdly, and then fourthly is that, of course, oneself must be practicing in line with what one is teaching.
딘데기 애니 다 진서 파진 투다 되고 시라 롬데지 애니 로바데베 롬데 만데 장라스타 데다 장주 선배 쪼발라베디 진서 파진 투다 되고 시도 졸라 롬데 저게 편연도 장고라 당도로 편연다 아니 오다 이와다 첼레다 아니 대부 가르가르 유메 도 장바이나 다 딘데지 당아데 아니 심팅네 당에지 저고도 장고도 롬데고 로실레비나 아니 신도 드네 아니 죽둠 송거래 해서와 제가 죽둠 근데 찬주스베 죽둠 면배 초가면 심게 안드네다 진소 파진 초기 냠내도 롭종체 안도저게 편연도 통 안도저 통네 어다 당가 딘데지 제고도 진바다야를 냠내 치고도 수준소야 냠내 치고도 소고야 라서와다 딘다 냠내다 치고도 선배네 대담마저 수수게 당에 제세 전주선바도 저게 냠내 채원나 징해야 치고도 선배 심타원의 내용도 안데네 주dom랑고래 해서와 주dom랑고래 했다.
Right, so now this kind of engaging or entering bodhicitta, if you will, but prior to that, one needs to know what is to be trained in. So one needs to thoroughly study the 6 perfections with regards to self and the 4 means of gathering disciples. What does each of these entail in terms of their entity or nature? What are their functions and definitions? So once you have studied them and you know them thoroughly, one can actually begin to train in them. Jukdom. So here you're really studying the benefits. Okay, so what are the benefits of the wish to give? The first paramita, what are the benefits of ethics? What are the benefits of forbearance and so forth? in terms of practice, and you will also study how previous bodhisattvas have acted in accord with that. And then when you've done that, having gone through the aspiring bodhicitta ceremony, you engage.
좀 렌차네 아니 전주심에 자동세야 되는데 여러와 자동그 마트가 배 수수 소리장 자체와 뭐 송그레스 아니 걔디 틴데기 에너지 사과 충딩단 이제 그냥 막 사과스도 녀모래 녀모 다지 녀모 슉 첨부된데게는 막어버지야 계정모레스 걔디 그거 있나요 아니 그 지주체 내려와 전주심에 돈바스들이야 당 샤바치야라서 뭐다 제비나 야 돈바도 나 다더 개와도 다도 여러와 어디 이모님아 봐 샤바치고래 송그래
After doing that, after engaging in the bodhicitta, training in it, it's important not to get tainted by the root downfalls at the cost of one's life, but also not only the root ones, but these branch and median contaminations. So in that context, it's important to look at not or guarding against very strong afflictions arising. But if you do get tainted by a downfall, purify by the means that has been set forth. And one can do that every day.
디네 친룩질을 납진스네 다 디네 지당기 친룩지기만 냠네 다디 뒤에 가나서 디직 랍샤나다 야고요래 그나 저런서 다 진소 퍼진 두개 다 암조 양생에서 거대요래 단다 먼저 삽 님마들레 다 도대기요래 배나 다 친룩질을 납진스네 당한서 뒤에 먼저 선부 상부 지해야 돼 지거를 상물로 지거를 다 선부 상부 지에 내가 쓰네 지 김바다야 지론소야 소고미야 네 줄 띵이지 삼대 도서 다 배대 게 가지도 그래 망고 실도 쓰와 네나 대야 지 지반냠네 찍나라야 친룩 저단 뒤는 냠네 지야 근데 요래 쓰와 저단디 건조하셔도 싱그레야 사바 가시 신경 말데 냠네 시다 림바지 랍샤나야 야고이 삼다야
Now, the mode of practicing training in the six perfections, I have been through a few times. We've heard it a lot. We've been through them going through them on Sunday. We know that we must cultivate a warm, a kind heart. And to foster that, we need to cultivate these six perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom. And I have mentioned this before, but some are new. There is a context of training in all of the perfections within one of them, so how they interrelate.
Pena jimbatan jimbe nyamni chiwe negala jimbatan tene jimbatan lo suzu jimbatan ya la ta lu longjo keza de da lu longjo tan gwa ko ane tuzu wa shin de chue jimbatan da men de yoro ande jimbatan wa de ne shinda ke kugo ra gumen de na ne mani ji ke je de be ne de yen yu gu tundu dan de ne kodo gwa 알아서 주저이나 많이 걸어봐야지도 주된로 걸어봐야도 근데게다 직신라 편도게 여와든지 지혜여로 다디 짐바다와 되게로 하다 배나도 추억이 짐바를 도저 아니 산생이 짐바다와데 짐바 짐메냐는 차서 아 짐베 짐바샤데 짐바다와데 레데네 게외자오지여로 봐 짐바다와데 게외자오 중대 태양야 심지를 봐 다시나 아니 짐바니자 차서 짐베 짐바 차서 다들 짐바 따위 내가 삼로드 컨디션 단 것도 삼당 거는데 삼로디 라니 지고라 지 롱조야 담닌다야 딘데레도나 티마레스타 티송고요 한다란 진지 정말 송고요 안서서지 르가 인숨이 저것도 송고요 어디 짐베 수림 차서 아니 짐바다에 내가라 다 강에 열어 다 레라고 열어 봐 지 미가실라 파편도 제디 춘네와 지기도 근데 내가라 아니 sem마도 것이 제 대학 수업 공부 열어 짐베서 와서 다 니 짐바다한테 니 셈나라 가나다 떠나고 요래 좋아 떠나 가나 다 드리베 야고 청송하라 딘데 지키 청소 삼제 니 개발라 쪼래 근데 준비차로 오라 다 대가라 니 짐바다야 코나가나 셈네 제 대가나 삼로 샤 토베이나 짐베 삼진 차라 다드네 짐바다세 유 짐바동보보 짐바제 두즈 상마 라신이마 도레 수상마 된동 주마데베레 삼나 짐베 셔럽스 해자는 그 시지가는 또 삼로 상마다 요래 에스라
Yeah. Okay, so in that context, then let's take the first parameter of charity or generosity as the example. So, one is giving. Normally, one gives one's body, wealth, and enjoyments, as it were. So, or time, one can give one's time. One can give or share one's Dharma practice. And one can share one's knowledge, rather. And if there's no humans about, even just reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, the animals will hear it, or hear at Chandrakirti. If you turn the wheel or go around the stupa, virtues are accrued here. So those roots of virtues that one is offered, one dedicates to sentient beings. Now, how does this, and that's the generosity of giving Dharma in one sense. How does that relate to ethics? Here, when you are engaged in such giving, one is not doing it just for oneself, protecting against the self-cherishing mind, and also, watching the actions of your body, speech, and mind that they are for others. Then it becomes ethics of giving. And then thirdly, that's not always easy to do when you're engaged in the practice of generosity for others might harm you, but the fact that you remain unperturbed around that, don't get upset around that, that's the generosity of patience, or patience of generosity. And then fourthly, you delight in it, you have a tremendous joy of the taste of Dharma, so you're enthusiastic about it. It's the fourth one. And then the fifth one is, at the moment you give, you're focused, you're concentrating, you're not distracted. So that brings in the paramita of concentration. And then finally, when you understand the lack of intrinsic nature, or the illusory-like nature between subject, object, and action, or you, the one that's doing it, and the result, and that brings in the wisdom paramita of generosity as well.
어디 직체 나 진소 파진 투로 찔러 랍주세 데 텐데 다 쳐버드세로 다 쳐버드 니 심게미 몰라 치다 된데 되거들은 왜 체외치도 신내진 거 삼del라고 그랬어 다 치스면 신내 고데 예우시다 용거래로 어디 시기요래
Right. Then to train in the six perfections in general, especially with regards to meditative stabilization, the entity of shamatha, in order to make the mind serviceable with respect to whatever virtuous object you wish.
세상에 심게미 미고라 치다 된데 되거들은 체외치시 신내기 미바디 아니 심 개와 칸데 지간을 샤나 샤드롱야 안딘데게 신의 그런 어디 루신 신자 대회선배 띵이지 시기요를 세상 니 미버로 지간을 와지 왜다고 옥다고 지간을 추주 숨시 니망아토 내가 섬지 대신에라고 요말했어 예 양도 직림배 띵이지를 신의 그 권라 직림배 띵이지 다와 그런 되게 여러 띵이지 다와든데 대도 वर 내가 신의스고요 말아가지고 장 저다도 장고에 되게 좀 뭐래 지메 매 신의 권한 그 로스 삼딩이 되가라니 베타디하고 숨그레스 와대
Ale mikasa you'll say the gevet chogo gurwa.
기회 미베가나 샤드롱 녀시고 그러면서 세미고 찔러 샤브 좋아요 뭐
So then what's important is that the mind is made serviceable, meaning shamatha, come abiding, with respect to whatever virtuous object you wish. So here, being able to place the mind single-pointedly at will at what, virtuous object of one's choice, and then still induced with that physical and mental, the bliss of physical and mental pliancy. It doesn't mean just being able to single-pointedly focus on light or the moon or anything like that, because these could be like worldly calming abidings. Mundane.
dine nila da khung chewra. Ani lamdön le ngwe shi jewe chi du shine lawa sungpa ne tsumba tamre. Chezang do lamdön da du zun la ya ani shine tawe di ngwe shi jewe chi du res ya di tsumba tamre me shi jige shine sa di sing gebe mikba khang gala shadru ni chku yo re sungore.
Yeah, the statement in Atisha's Lamp for the Path that you train in shamatha in order to develop clairvoyance is only an example. What's been said is that, that calm abiding is focused on serves the purpose to focus on any virtuous object. Example, special insight.
Da kap shendu tizang ma se ne chowo ni ji kap shendu da lam kap shendu. Me langdong jewe shi du sung sha yarwa. Shine tobya di langdong mato kona shine ngewa du togu rawa chazang shine tobya di langdong tobe shi du sung badende yo res.
Yeah, so Tisha himself stated on an occasion that it also serves to develop special insight. So prior to special insight, shamatha, calm abiding, serves as the basis.
Dine di che du sra kan da langdong tobe che du so le. Langdong tobe che du yang shine du gu res. 제가 신의 루야기 미위디 아니 저 상동 토베치드레스 카레스나 아니 먼저 단다 아니 직스 세미나가 강연다 동예다 남다다 마지와 망보 지 징징된죠 여버데 카레스나 다 뉴스임에 청와게 단지 왕게는 먼저 징대요레스 단지 청와디 죄외 체도에 동의 돈 공부레스 제가 돈이 되나 따वे 푸다 쳐네 아니 검증 만어지 간에 아니 신에게 안에 아니 학부 통화서로 학부 통화서도 동반이 통화하시고라.
Right. So then, therefore, you should develop, bottom of page 42, shamatha for that purpose too, then to cut the fetters apprehending the two selves. So what's being here, one needs calm abiding as a basis, but over and above cultivating special insight, because it is a mind that suffers and is upset. So one needs to cut the fetters of self-grasping or being bound to that incorrect notion of a self, and it is superior seeing or special insight that does the analysis to allow that to be.
다 된대기 다 실라두와 마도바 죽둠람바 잘라자 다 신에당 항동 두와 마도바 니 죽동지 랍절로가 베나 짐바다 수dun수야 소고미야 진주고미야 더 상마 망보지 수dun지 라베나 다 먼저 라워스미 냠네나 수자위나로와 지조 파진 두디 짐바 수dun수와 준주 도수 상마 수dun지 라베나 두도야 아니 삼딘데다 데르와 시네데다 심지라와스 딩징 라베나 두도고와 알하동데 셔럽지 라베나 두도고와 세상에 진조 파진 투디야 고 아니 라워스무 냠네나 두지제 스무요레스라.
So then again, these 6 perfections can be kind of condensed into the 3 trainings. So if you look at the first 3, generosity, ethics, and patience, they can all be subsumed within the first training of ethics. And then we can group single-pointed concentration and wisdom into concentration. And then finally, insight can be grouped into the third category of training in wisdom. So there.
그래서 신앙 다야 김제 신다 찍으러 와서 신앙 신의 면제스 신의 면제에 가래 탑 배나 신의 면제 라요나 아니 김바 주든 수바 준주 디제레 디제데 탑 기차레스 아니 소남지 소남 뒤로요레스 디드 tammo kunzo demba 냐냐레스 제가 봐
And then another twofold demarcation or collection, top of page 43, merit and wisdom or relative truth. So furthermore, everything up to and including shamatha is method. It is the accumulation of merit. It's the path based on conventional truths.
자주에 남기는 제 다드네 네 셔럽 쳐와진 숨제와네 셔럽 지르와 셔럽 쳐와진 다 셔럽 쳐와진라고 해야 돼 가래서는 안저다 닌데 되는 데또 돈이도 왜 로디 아니 팀미지 로레 딱 지르베 셔럽레 쳐와 파고레 아니 닌데지 다 남레 쳐와드 파고레 란제 글람레 쳐와드 파고레 다 가르스나 전주심 심보라고 전주심이 심보 인자 아니 셔럽 쳐와진 셔럽 그래서
Right. So those, and we can also, in the first method side of the path, we can talk about the stages of the vast path. While the generation of latterly, now talking about the wisdom side, while the generation of the three special wisdoms is wisdom, the accumulation of wisdom, which is based on ultimate truths, and the stages of the profound paths. Now here, because these trainings in wisdom are conjoined with bodhicitta, they're differentiated from non-Buddhists, hearers, solitary realizers, and so forth. Being great vehicle.
안도 단다 두스 다디에 탓 르시거래 니 시내가서 아니 군조된 바다 전단된 바 싫어 전단된 바라데 동문이 있고는데 그래 남진에 가서 탑단 싫어니 싫어 안 대위에 가서 아니 수고다 추주고 시제 시람 데우스 어떤 데스체는 샤 조단지 양용고요레스
Yeah, another way of setting forth these modes of training in the great vehicle: basis, path, and result. The basis are the relative truths and ultimate truths. Ultimate truth meaning the lack of intrinsic nature or emptiness. The path meaning method and wisdom, and the result, the form and wisdom bodies of a Buddha, the corpuses.
다디네 대다기 구림당 장애에서 단답값들 진소 파진 툭 아니 구림 장애 아니 탑단 셰럽지 구림 장애 아니 탑시 야마다와 찬주 탑시 야테나 찬주 있음 연구 말해 제가 탑시 야마다거든요 찬주 있음 듣다 아니 예원이 버죠 그래 딱 계제 람림 라야디 아니 람지 뭐 구림 탕 어디게 딩에 버체 디게데 당고 습습나마 당가죠 근데 내 배전체 저와의 제외 권이 제 배전체 아니 저와레스는 아니 저메 권이 제 유네지 두세는 람줄레 제 거로다 두즈 상마 단다 배전은 셰디 산조디 말한저 곰객이나 수수심나라야 또고 제 윤조치게 시고로 미다가 룸 지산조서로 된데 게 말이야
So what's being laid out here are not just stories, they are the modes to generate insights in mind. So, when we look at having thus trained your continuum by means of the common paths, you must certainly enter the monk Trayana. Once you've entered it, you will quickly complete the two accumulations. So one is doing this with an understanding of certainty with respect to these orders we've been through. Not only six perfections, but basis, path, and result. For example, when you study the Lam Rim, you have to know the entity or the qualities of each of the stages and the steps. But you also have to cultivate a kind of conviction or certainty about their production. And that takes effort and when first it's contrived and then it's non-contrived. But all of that's important for our meditation.
다 드네 다들 드는마다 친구들 배 지고 사고 전야르셔 봐. 특배 다 진압 전부 네 책 코드 책 튼두진나나 다배 다다만 뭐 담는 유진야래도 와.
These statements are very pithy, very condensed, and they're condensing a lot into a short sentence.
대다 람투모의 교회 장반이스다 소모다. 니왕가라 좀 람투모의 교회 장스다. 람투모에서 해야될 파진대에 람차산되는 뉴스다. 알아? 아니 다 코데로 즉 셰베이나 니중 찬주쌤 동반이 신이된 주의도 예도 도고요래. 아디바데스 게르담베이나 아니 신이된 주네 제 교충을 남기는 거 교등을 남기는 거 교천복에 남기는 거 진소 파진 두 그냥는 그런 거 되게 어디 규장스도 코난베 유를 깨워지 거래스
Yeah.
디제디다 마 제르로는 어디에들이스 디제디 아니 유를 깨스나나 아니 신도 당하라 줘 그래서
Right. So now, like where it says, having thus trained your continuum by means of the common paths, just there we can connote. So we can understand, renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, all of that, all of those kind of preliminaries there. Or we can look at it in terms of the vast, correctly relating to the spiritual friend, the three different capacities, initial, medium, and vast, and what the last one of the vast capacity entails, training in the six perfections. Not only you are knowing them, but you're generating them in mind. And once you've entered it, once you've trained in that, then you must enter the mantrayana. So common and then uncommon.
다 파진 토백이 아니 최대제 냐는 제발라 이민지기 톱단한테 왕한테需求 말을 그래서 가드 로좀 진예잖아 로좀 제잖아 년가 제요 말다 강이 제요 말아.
Right. Now, remember, we're calling these common means the perfection vehicles. And suffice to say, you don't need to be empowered. You don't need an empowerment to study those. There's not going to be no harm done to mind.
다 나를 주발라 인지민지기 나를 슝도 마다고나 왕탑제 봐. 왕탑 티톱 룽톱 왕루명아 참마톱네 아니 와 최냠네 쳐와야지 되어랬다.
But when it comes to training in mantrayana, tantra, one needs to be empowered to do so. One also needs commentaries, instructions, put instructions and so forth.
디네가라 슈제 엔디네 델라 슈나스로 나가라 슈스나는 뉴디 소니 도바죠 그랬다. 나라 되게 담부치고 해야 가르스나 아니 홀 탐람 사고 싶던데 여인자 사회의 군생이 뉴르도 와 파진 태고이나 계진 정면 숨을 상제야. 아니 나라이나 니도自动 찍나라 상제야. 하고도 당도 글롱어저이나 로숨 나라서 참된 상제 요소고라다. 그래서 저는 봐.
Okay, so having trained then in those common paths of the perfection vehicle, you must certainly enter the mantrayana. For once you have entered it, you'll quickly complete the two accumulations. It is due to the profundity of Tantra that the progress is fast. We talk about, from the point of view of the perfection vehicle, the necessarily cultivating three countless great eons of merits, but in the context of Tantra, to be able to obtain the body of a Buddha in one life or in 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, and so forth.
다 걔네 대담지 제도금면도 나서 제르무진으로 왔다. 근데 그 자천부 띵서 같은데 제도금면도 나나 메조 나서데 다 메조로 그래 말아서 다 말한 상말로 배샤당 초보당 내가당도 개쳐 지금이 최년리체 개정보다고 쇼대로 잡고요 알아. 제가 메조 그래. 다 메조고 차차래. 먼저 메조니 되는 추차래로. 다니 링느 중에서 미 직투즈 직 tanda chomen yo de lan ta an hawa de su sharap chung rigwa kyo tinde ge ne pa lam je de chi du min du na na lam rim ji chi a kyu chung lam ni tu ting kyu chenbo chanju ge sim tinde ma du tinde ji na ne ya me na shine ji go kom ya me na o tinde ji na ne de zen chi su su ge ya ta kyu chung ge lam mo nya ne so shine ya go zu je shirim ge 신이 된주 된저 된지 지원미다고 레준데에서 된데나야 뭐 된데지가나야 네 도톱제 인터넷 갈래야 지게스 동안 네 갈래야 홍보 장제 아니 규팅 규 첨부를 주 안데네야 말을 주고 있네 야고 요래서 젊으신 예 랍자 쉬어지다 무엇을 쉬되면 신경도 교용도 알아야 돼
Right. So here Lama Tsongkhapa is speaking or advising directly to our capacity, saying that if you cannot manage more than a path of the perfections due to having a lineage of little power, or you do not want to, you should just work on developing these stages more and more. That's like it for us, isn't it? Like we really can't kind of go full on into this. We often tend to put a living or making money first and kind of like Dharma second. Not only that, but then there's the wisdom side. We might not have the sharpest wisdom. Well, in that context of not being able to cultivate a path, in reality, what we can do is go through these initial, medium, and vast capacities sequentially, or work on one aspect of them. So, for example, we work on cultivating bodhicitta, 6 causes, 1 effect. Or we might set out to cultivate shamatha, calm abiding, just that. Or in context with initial capacity, we might start with correct reliance on the spiritual friend, death and impermanence, realizing the perfect human support, what that entails, and the law of cause and effect. So Lama Tsongkhapa is speaking directly to us when he says, go through sequentially according to your capacity, initial, medium, and vast scope.
다양 여러 년대시 숨도데 나라 주관이 질 태고 탐제 안전하고 마 냠네 진유 두고 돈이 지단 태고 탐제기 두무랑 냠네도 켜봐도 좋고야 이나네 나라 년대치 그래서 나 냠네 쳐도 좀 벤데 딕딕 쳐고 그러면시
Even more.
안티 나네 장 신이 된주디 딱 신이 된주디 뭐래 장 켜봐 보고 싶죠 신이 된주디 람림 갈아야 신이 된주 송가 텔레장 나기 신이 된주디 텔레장 켜와도 파고지 고고요래서 다 신이 된주디 쉬우지 개점으로 했으니 송송화 되는 말와
Again, Lama Tsongkhapa exhorts us or kind of reiterates the importance if you're engaging in mantra, how much more important than correct devotion to the spiritual friend, emphasizing that all of the vehicles must be brought in if we're engaging in mantra, and particularly in the mantra vehicle, one should make it even more preeminent than previously. So, so even seeing the indispensable importance of relying on the spiritual friend in the Lam Rim, in the graduated stages, even more so when it comes to the Vajra vehicle, Tantra.
원래 장 켜와 파고서 원데 대원데라 그 신이 된주 송송아 어딜래 장 켜와도 파고서 고레스티 송고라
Yeah. You should make it even more preeminent than before, Lhasa.
다드네 니 단데기 다 신이 된주 야고지 총 투모 남자 주서 야고지 나라야 메바다 예나 드네 규디난다네 주에서 다 규데데라 규규데데라 규 타마타 근데 망고지 거래 제가 규난다 거기요래 규디난다네 주에 왕그 규민 받체 다왕 왕그 지준롱균 차단요 인직드네 쇼고 여러와 안 규민 받체 아니 원톱 전에 원게 아니 탐직 돈바스 소도시 송과 아니 제와데 지 자동으로 근데 포보이나 주 대양이 네디파 타고치야 아니 자동 포보이나 자동 번나라 연대인데 여베이나 세르야 당 연대 제가와 당 아니 딘데 연구요레스 자동 셋 베니와 쳔보레 차자 자동가 마고와 치고야 게 쳔보레스 아니 연락 그 동에 야마 그거 치고레스 게디니 거버스나나 다 마샤고 샥돔 치고레스 봐 세상도 너는 나게 동백에 단조다 샥돔 치야다 덴부터 바타고 치야디 단줄래야다 촉도 요로 하시는 단줄래야디 자동 나디야 데 니가 그 레라고 시지레다 양 타야 돼양 레라고 시지레다 거와 거기서 단줄래시나 타르고 원 서버슈나 타르고요 한 찬주 나 돈벌러 왔는데 원 서버슈가 단줄래나 나 돈 자동이 주네 타르고요 아니 저 배편이 전부래도
Then, having ripened your continuum by means of an empowerment that comes from the pure class of Tantra. So, coming now, the maturation of your continuum by means of empowerment, and with that are Damsik, or the pledge commitments and vows. And one should make strong effort not to break the root vows at the cost of one's life that you obtain, or even the branches. And if one does have an infraction, a breakage, to do the self-initiation. So whilst they were easy to take by means of empowerment, they can also be easily purified by either taking the empowerment again or doing the self-initiation. So that's important with regards to these 14 root downfalls.
어디지 다되네 유도 오마스데 다가라야 규디 시요르 차규 주규 nen조 라미 규스 규도 오마스야데 차규 주규 nen조 규디엘라 규도 오마스 그래 게라야 천제 nen조 다 체메 nen조 니셔 규도 오마라 천제서데 아니 돈이도베 로기 마심베 레 nen조 고미야도라 천제 돈이도베 라 송남 돈이도베 라 송남 라샤제 곰된 욕을 하더들라 체맥 nen조스 기도 오마라 천제 체메사데 튼다데레스로
And then looking at the other classes of Tantra, of which there are 4, highest yoga Tantra, and then yoga, and then performance and action, one can do these with signs or without signs. So with signs means that one is kind of contriving external signs, but without signs, one is doing it with an understanding of emptiness.
다 기도 공말라 아니 기름단 조림 스타니 용거로
Yeah, but when we get to highest yoga tantra, we're talking of generation and completion stage within that.
어디든데게 람 테더베 람 지남샤게 아니 르니 람드 저주반데지 람드는 숨바레 세단 람림기 대신도 튀기 인스타 교스음들 람나 튀기게 김쟁어디 데레다
Right, so such is the structure of the presentation of the path set forth in the lamp of the path of enlightenment by the teacher, and those therein is listed the purpose of having the 3 scopes, all of the above.
그거디 도샤가 그거디 좀더 가져가다 염모세다
So should we go further? Oh, sorry, that's laying out the steps. Now the purpose. Shall we keep going into the purpose? We still have time. Or are you out for the count?
예시 제레모세다
Is it too much?
오케이
Not too much.
아니 저도
Not
시작하고
up to
말해
you.
이게 그거도 랍샤가 아니 저거단
Okay, we'll do the purpose first and then question.
이 그거도 랍나 아니 메네 서브젝트 차단 사도도 지메 호축되려 하고
Yeah, then we're probably done this kind of section, isn't it? And we can start small scope.
그거도 가르치나 다 교우 총의 교우 등의 초거나 교우 첨부 원도래스와 대 교우 첨부 람린 TV 처음에 교우 등단 두명 남기는 것이 다 너네 교우 뒤에 가서 그래다 교우 등단 교우 총 도저제거래 교우 첨부 람린 원도를 랍송아 텐데나 당번에 교우 첨부 람 티제 샤신 디그라와세데 람나 딜레야 고여레스 교우 숨 소소체네 티월라 고와 첨부니 여레스 어버지문이여레스 그거 당보대 내 가르라이스나 주 충무다 주 딩게 로 마제나야 라니 주 충무 캔람베 가제 좀베치들 봐 당아
Right.
아디 간즈도레 와
Like
안저 주 충무 데 대부가 준비 최년년 신생 가제 치고라
yeah.
오네제는 수수 스미규라 주 딩다 주 충무 냠내게 냠내 요마로 딘데게 가제 자치들에서 버버직 되래
All right. So then this section is looking at, the small and medium capacities being in common with the vast capacity. And why does one need to train in the initial and medium scopes if one is approaching it from the perspective of the vast scope? Why can't we just train in the vast scope straight up? Why do you have to go through the initial and middling capacities individually? There are a couple of reasons for this. And one is that we could get pride thinking that, I'm, training in great scope, and perhaps not be thorough about the former initial and medium scopes. And this is a danger for us, isn't it, with our pride?
다 좀제네 고바치 카레라스나 아니 고바치 카레라스나 로란딩 톰 타손라 펜보 로라단 딩단 타손라 펜셰 체오레스 체외 칠로드 가르스나 교 공만이라야 원도 당 타버 튜니 일로 거레스 교 공만이스 교 딩단 교 첨별 남리라야 원도 당 타버 튜니 일로 거레스 딜러 티웨 간상하게 네 교 체와다 교 딩이라야 디니지 삼바정와다 삼바정와 템바 쩐데미jewe 연내jewe 치다 다 간산데 교 친보다 교 딩이 냠내 진예들은 원도 원도다 네 타버 되니 일로제 저조야 네 딘데직다 영향이 체드 네 김세직 되래서
Right. And the second reason, not just the fact that one could be conceited of claiming that you're a great capacity practitioner. The second reason is that all three highest, immediate, and least mental attitudes have great benefits. The way they're great is since two more advanced beings also need to strive for higher states and liberation. So as was mentioned, of course, what is going to be in common with vast capacity is the high status of a perfect human rebirth, but also this notion of being liberated from cyclic existence. Therefore, they relate to those other scopes as well.
다 간산로 타마치 그러봐 교 타마치 교 첨배 로돌레 메니지기 아니 교 딩다 교 첨배게 람링 로 잠바이네 윌로 또고 지금 말했어 그래서는 라오마 더러웠어 라오마 마제는 공마 지금 말했어
Right. And also if one suddenly, tried to train in the vast scope and get insights around it, insights would not come because they wouldn't have done the initial steps of initial and medium scope, which are necessary for that vast scope insight to mature.
신야 아니 공매 깨워진 람투무와 된디스 공매 깨워진 시도에네 교 첨배게 람 냠내 친이도들어야 교 딩다 교 첨무 투매 람도 때네 아니 로장네 나를 제심바도 나를 코나 교 첨무다 교 람 제되면은 도저야 공매는 돼야 마제와 윤대다 뉴디 겨주야 고모 마제네 네 고모 공모라 튀와 초과인베 아니 라나레 처음에도 스타디 교로지 교충우다 교부딩 냠내시 교침볼람 교부제야면서 딜레 타릉도야요 말에
Mm-hmm.
고모마제네 고모고마제야데 초도 교아래서
However, if a lesser person trains, beginning with the more advanced ones, the more advanced thoughts will not arise and the lesser ones will be cast away. So nothing at all will develop. So that's one fault. Moreover, through being taught the common path and through training, those with good fortune of superior capacity will soon develop excellent qualities that had not arisen before, whereby they can be guided to higher and higher levels once the lower ones have arisen. Thereby their path will not be prolonged, meaning that progress will be swift in such a person who takes this approach.
대상다 로림지 양 릭지라 림지 제권이 된데 요래 송공주 겨워 쇼발레스와 노부킨 케베 노부 림지 종에 배드는데 저와다 까제도스 네 공부루르기 양 당봉원바터 다디니 마님도 tran시나 전다지고래도 당봉원바터에 신ning 요래와다 관심원바터 내린징 요래와 시 운동을 넘기는 거 되었어 파고 통매기 양 장주기 선반의 림지 계획 초양다고 되외치 심진지 셔럽진난다 통말라외 초된배치 라외 당하다 제스된배지 오시 대다 셔럽 딩단 템바나 또바주나 최된배 딩다 당하다 제스된배 딩주가 체도스 세상에 전다데 데레 다 너브를 붙이게 아니 개와 통분의 위배 배두매고네 아니 이번에 세도도 제삭제 다치고 나시 아니 경부 주 중국인의 주ting 주 첨부를 남도 가야 돼. 너브를 보시도 배서는 순간주 기회 송어래서 아니 고모로르기야 당보 원도 함이 고마텐티네 일렉 타바 탐제 좀 같네. 산지 살아도 рем바데 송어래서 때 파고 탐에 이제야 로람딩 타승 거네 아니 도주디 림기 다 간다데 기회 친구 초송 람 림바데 고름데 도주디 슝디게 송어래로
The next, these sources underline the importance of the necessity of developing the mind gradually in steps. Through the analogy of a skilled jeweler cleaning precious stones gradually to the meaning. Nagarjuna also alludes to this in terms of the path of higher states and definite goodness, where stated, first the Dharma of higher states, then those of definite goodness come forth. Therefore, once you achieve higher states, definite goodness will come by stages. And underlined by Arya Asanga, also in order that the side of virtue can be gradually accomplished properly, the Bodhisattva initially teaches those who have the wisdom of childish sentient beings easy Dharma and causes them to follow easy advice and instructions. Realizing that they have developed intermediate wisdom, he causes them to follow intermediate Dharma teachings and intermediate advice and instructions. And finally, realizing that they have developed vast wisdom, he teaches them the profound Dharma and causes them to follow subtle advice and instructions. His beneficial activities fall on those sentient beings progressively. So it's highlighting what Nagarjuna said about first perfect human rebirth, then higher status, then Buddhahood.
하드네 파월해야 주디 되면은 랑원데 파진테베 람 삼바장네스 디네 nga주데 림지 거버 도싱세 데텐디 되데 심제 당불레진나 담배든지 주보다 탑디 조버 선지지 게 이런 거 세상 당부 파진테베 람라 장제 주 충중 중딩 첨부 람림자 디네 네 nga글람자 nga글람자 도단도 정도 깨그림 바나시 토갈라 깬다다나 깬다 오마 샤진 토갈라 도나시 티 프로그램이시 당문에 네 토갈라 깬자면 로토고 말와다 디시기요라
Okay. Arya Deva then, from the lamp of summarized behavior. This is talking about training first in the perfection vehicle, and then the steps being gradual within that of initial, medium, and vast capacity, and then entering the maturation vehicle of Tantra in a sequential low to high mode, rather than going straight to the top, resembling a flight of stairs. Listen.
that 좋아요.
Okay, questions?
좋아.
When you have the generosity and ethics and the patience of generosity, etc. So what's the difference between, for example, the generosity of ethics and the ethics of generosity?
Oh, you mean, so let's say you moved to ethics now.
No, you've been sitting on the generosity of ethics, that's the generosity department, but then there's the ethics of generosity, which is in the ethics department.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying your question. The Gisla pene chimbanang la didang jimbe chuk shimbe yoro adine jimbe sutrum. The sutrum part of the jimbe chuk nang the sutrum jambe kapla sutrum gi chimba karsha.
말에 열이 먼저 주어들 온라인 라고지.
Yeah, so the question was, you can relate all of the 6 perfections, for example, to generosity. Within that, you've got ethics relating to generosity, but then when you get to training in ethics, you can also train in generosity. So how do the two differ?
내려와다 짐베 트림스 샤니 짐베 당보 체시도 차고로 아니 짐바 당와디 랑진지 송야드레도와
Yeah.
디 짐베 트림 차데 세워 차송아.
Yeah, so are we clear first about, training in generosity and having ethics within that you are guarding against self-cherishing?
답에는 트림기 짐바 라위네야 당보 트림 송으로 항주 트림 송 먼저 제 룡아 트림 송게 요 개념 트림데 그런 짐베 트림 창생 트림 너무 캘렌시는다 하자야고 너무 캐말레미네 베낭랑즈 마소 제기미 준식미 세대 트림레로
Yeah.
롱버게 팀 구야데 트림레 팀 송바데 트림레 근데 트림 송와 딜라덴베 개와져와 개와디 ene 심진신 탐제를 방어와 인자 아니 트림지 짐바 차송하데.
Right. So in the second example of generosity with regards to ethics, or generosity falling within the parameter of ethical training, you are holding ethics here of body and mind, for example, or you might have taken any of the classes of vows of ethics, lay, bodhicitta, whatever. So let's say you take the vow not to kill or to lie, or even in New Zealand to abide by the laws in New Zealand. So the virtues accrued from that you dedicate to sentient beings. So that's, generosity relating to ethics.
디 트림 순신주의 교회자와디.
Yeah, so the roots of virtue
동화로.
you accrue from ethical constraint, you offer. You're generous with them. You offer those roots to sentient beings.
근데 진저 파진 청만나라 산 전주심바와데 곰자고요라.
Yeah. So all of those 6 within 6 of each are the meditations that the bodhisattvas go through.
저바 수베 짐바 수베 주린 수베 삼제 수베 시랍스. 이제 요라다.
Yeah. So, you've got the patience of patience, the ethics of patience, the concentration of patience, the wisdom of patience, the generosity of patience, and so forth.
아니 요 전주 심바도 까마찌그나라 되게 자산 팀마 중요시 공부해서 오라 검지지그나.
So the bodhisattvas can do all of that in one minute.
다들 알아서 단단히 검시서 오라.
We can get used to it and do that.
어야 다다 그래.
Is that it? Oh, there's one question from Murray. Isla Murray asks, how can uncontrived bodhicitta be lost vis-a-vis entry to the Mayana path? The chanchukisim chuma mayamba wadi.
너래.
The nyamba loki dan nyamba de laya dan tungan den de yor wadi.
열.
Manyamba de.
냠바다 마냠분이가.
Yeah. Dan nyamba kandas nyam gare.
냠바디 데려와.
Chuma mayamba
주모 모임에는 냠로 그래. 당 SMJ 신 트wen치 투스 말에 삼 심중 냠바다가 차차래. 당 델랭아라 트wen치 신의 리사레 삼는 다가 차차래다.
Right. Yini ang korang sim kesara chuma mayamba.
주모체는 다 냠로.
Okay. So yeah, even though you would have generated uncontrived bodhicitta, once you say, oh, I can no longer work for all sentient beings, then you lose that uncontrived bodhicitta. That is it, just by thinking that.
다가라는 냠살.
Just that thought degenerates the uncontrived bodhicitta. Yeah.
잘해. 어디셔?
Mandalas.
지, 부시, 중시, 알라 디어레 mendeere. 지, 미, 동, 레. 레, 시. yin de yin ba de a ye xin mi de o in de la de o de la de ye na ga de le cho de Mendel. Mis.
Due to the merit of these great imperfections, my own quickly attained and paid you can lead all the.
Ja, det där lama. Ja, det är det. Det är så bra.
I can promise you over the knowledge of my words. George even question if the book stays. Getting always with the virtue of dedicating praises and gifts. By the victorious one so long of the 3 times, that I might perform the noble voice of the states. May the kingdom come as some habits way as our most practice and flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all conduce and service to be recovered. The way grand and the way brilliant jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world. Incomparably kind is the guest of my speech. My order of all the wishes be spontaneous and fulfilled. This is the same, your others know their teachings and training vibrations. Who makes extremely clear the path of the unification of existence and passion. To the lowest forward seems to the outside the speech. My all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You are bold as a Julian far away, who serve the bountiful wear of all. Sustain, preserve in its great marginalized victorious doctrine. Vastly accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 hills. Savior of myself and others, your disciple, please, so they return to. By relying on the 2 accumulations of myself and others over 3 times, may the teachings of the conqueror both and grow by place for a long time. And love his prayer. Heal as teacher, and any children of victorious plus, rather than them to take the words, victorious voice and Father and sons, along with the masters. All belong to the refuge of infinite blessings. Please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading among these gracious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you walk among the patience of 7 years of the skies. Incomparable little group to your own place. All striving single with the beautiful strength and victorious life teachings. The thought that great ritual benefits and happiness of marriage. And for all other living beings, you shall be departed peace or ungrateful. Nevertheless, we are receiving truth of the blessings and devotion of the beautiful. In the great ways that worship you tell children of victorious ones. May the smile of reincarnations swiftly be in glory proportionate to us.
Penna Lam Rim.
Page 35. Page 39.
Indirende bela zanyi zere kala Bama mareje do yene le ya. Aje do
If I do not reach the space, may I great powers of the teachings. Skills of being strong, both for strengths of the cloud time spending. My alcohol will be teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out for great compassion. In whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined. May I reveal this treasure of happiness within. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted without his peace, and the body's deeds be nourished for a long time. May even this great path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the voices and of sons. May all humans and non-human beings eliminate perversity and create means for conditions for practicing the excellent paths. Never be pilot in any of their lives from the pure child phase of the goods. Whenever someone may feel to act in accordance with the tenfold mighty other virtuous practices, and he always be assisted by mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Ale dinda jima diyora kasa. Gezi she diyora. Chanzo shenye dizo. An susu ge kaan jamba di ma she shan di gore. Ni jik she maduwa ji she le bezan che go mare. Lamrim na kazu she ba di ma she shan
No,
di gore sra.
So next class, the presentations, please just put effort into what you've learned, what you know from the class. Don't try and make effort into things if you're not sure of them, or just do your best.
Da dine kondo kashi da ma jasta dawa ge dinda ni ji bare do ang ma mi ji bare re do da. Ni na da lamrim de paru la de slow ro wa da. Ajime de ne ma chiwa mi da wa na ma go zo do ro. Ani ya go dinda jime lo ta jinda jebe na la ya. Sawa dinda ni na chiwa mi da wa na do ma sawa ni na de go ro. Hindi mi ji yang cham che wa de ge yong ma ro. 람림디 럽존 치야로하고 배 가두이네 럽존 치야라 하나신은 디고요 당고 럽존 치고요라 근데 섬다 근데 내가 뒤지 먹고요 다원이 이제 동거에 돼 당도데 저런 좀에 기승 콘도한데 그래서 로제 탄다냐 바지 로트는 야고요 그래서 당도 선엄 사고로 하면서
Merit. So with regards the break coming up, some of those that are following in the Monday class, online, they will rejoin. But also with regards to the Wednesday class, it's important that in the context of Lam Rim, we do study and practice. So not just to leave it during the break, but the next subject matter with initial scope is going to be on death and impermanence. So it's very good if one can make effort to study that. And this is also for those that are coming new, that are joining. There might be some that join new next term as well. And also, as I mentioned on Monday, it's good to recite the Sutra of Great Liberation according to your age, because we need to create merit, accumulate merit.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
One more I'd ask is they bought Lama's blood relic back from Nepal.
Right.
So is there any special ceremony or something we should do to install that on
Right.
the altar?
Thank you. So, Kishla, Ramazan Tupton Zoparam Shegi, Ringsel Yavad, Chop, Ringsel, the Sukur, whatever, Moram, the because a Duchin mixe and Ramni mixe Chichewan, Ringsel, Joya, the Chayad.
That means it's a way. Do you want? But could you leave?
When did it come?
Thursday, Friday? No,
That
was
was
it
it.
Saturday? Saturday, yeah, Saturday.
Allez.
Is it in here?
No, it's in the office.
Wow.
Allez. Ai, ta leave some dik thara.
Probably okay, just that it's come.
Ah,
She'll come now, put in a small bottle, right?
no reason.
Like a crumb in the mix to do the come mix it.
Tuwa ma shana yer.
Yeah.